Hey guys, it's me, Seren, back with another video. So as you can see, we have a side part and we have some 90s clip action happening today. If you follow me on Snapchat, you've probably seen me wear my hair like this before, but I think this is the first time I've worn it like this on the channel. That's mostly because it takes me like 20 minutes to make a side part because I just have not made parts in literally like years. So I have to like really focus to like get a straight side part. It's like a whole thing. So, but I have worn my hair like this before. I think it's kind of fun and cute and I don't know, whatever. So, this video has been highly requested. I'm openly bisexual, which I've talked about a little bit on this channel before, but I've never really done like a coming out story video or anything like that, mostly because as a bisexual woman of color and black woman, a lot of the times I feel like bisexual people feel weird about taking up like queer space. You kind of feel like you don't belong there, like you're not like really like a member of the community or whatever. But a lot of people, number one, a lot of people were asking me for my thoughts on Kim Burrell. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Kim Burrell, or I actually don't care if I'm pronouncing it right. But I had no idea who this woman was. I had never heard of her. I did not know who she was. So I looked her up, and she's a gospel singer that made homophobic remarks. She's singing a song. I have some articles open. She sang a song, I See Victory. She has a song with Burrell, which y'all know how I feel about Burrell. New Blackians. She had a song with Burrell, I See Victory, from the Hidden Figures soundtrack, which she was supposed to perform on Ellen. But she was like preaching at a Houston church saying, you play with the homosexual spirit in God's house and you'll die from it, in 2017, and a bunch of other just like really homophobic remarks. And then she tried to say like, oh, I was talking to like the people specifically in the church that are like gay or like on the down low, or you know, or like dabbling, like as if, you know, like, oh, I'm talking to church people, I'm not talking to like regular people, you know. I don't know, it was something about like, I'm talking to church people, I'm not talking to regular people, so since I'm talking to church people, you know, it's fine, like whatever, like it's fine, like church people know, like the people I'm talking to know who I'm talking to, so that makes my comments fine. I'm not talking to like all homosexuals at large. It's like, no, but what you said was like homophobic and offensive, and you're not God, and you don't get to stand in judgment of anybody, and isn't standing in judgment of people of fucking sin. So aren't those of you that stand in judgment of other people fucking going to hell in a handbasket? Don't y'all have the motherfucking first class ticket to hell? Or no, is it me? Am I bugging out? But anyway, so a lot of people wanted to know what I thought. I mean, I had no idea who she was. We all know who she is now because she's catching all this homophobic backlash. I don't know how you was gonna go on Ellen thinking that homosexual was gonna burn in hell, like whatever. She just sounds like a self-righteous, judgmental church person. There's a lot of self-righteous, judgmental church people in the world. So a lot of people wanted me to kind of get into like homophobia in the church community, and especially in black churches. I think, as I've talked about before, when we talk about mental illness and homophobia, and what I said when I did my Moonlight review, I think that there's a lot of pathologizing the black community as if these are like black problems, like these are like black problems. Homophobia is a huge problem in our society, and especially within organized religion like Christianity. And as enslaved peoples that were forced into Christianity, we've internalized a lot of homophobic beliefs from that religion, even though I will also say that I've taken some classes on homosexuality in the Bible, and I've done some lectures on that, and I used to go to this really, really, really interesting class that was held at this, I want to say it was a Presbyterian church when I was living in New York, and they basically talked about like mentions of homosexuality in the Bible, and how the Bible was written so long ago, and it was like written by people, and a lot of like words and phrases have been misinterpreted, and just a lot of really interesting stuff about the way that people basically use organized religion and the Bible and Christianity as well as other religions as a way to just like spew their own hatred, even though it doesn't it doesn't even necessarily have to say that in the Bible. Basically, the whole crux of especially Christianity is supposed to be do unto others, as you would have them do unto you, and love all people. Jesus Christ, if you believe in Jesus Christ, was hanging out with like, hookers and whores and people with leprosy, and there's no reason to fucking tell anybody that they're gonna burn in hell. You're just doing a lot. You're doing the most. You're being mad extra. And most of what you are even talking about as a Christian, you learn from white people. You've internalized that, from being colonized, from being enslaved, from being forced into this religion that also was used to enslave Black people. So it just doesn't really make very much sense to me. And I was pretty much raised in a church because my grandmother was a minister, but my grandmother is like an amazing, open-minded person that just really believes in like treat others how you want to be treated, and like don't throw stones, and like, do unto others how you will have them do unto you, and helping people, and she just doesn't stand in judgment of anyone. Like, she's just like, you need therapy, go to therapy. She has no stigma about mental illness. She's just like she just really, and I think a lot of that too is because like most of my family is Jehovah's Witness, and my grandmother and my great aunt were the only two people in my family that kind of like defected and became Christian. So I think they kind of know what it was like to kind of be like judged because you're kind of like doing something different. So my grandmother just was never judgmental, and she just like always taught me to just be like open-minded and open to everyone. And to me, she is an example of like a church person or a true Christian, or like how everyone should be, just trying to help. Like, she lives in Chicago now, working with the youth. That's where she's been for like the last 10 years, doing outreach programs with like the youth. And she works with at-risk youth, or she works with, queer youth, members of the LGBTQIA+ community. She just she just wants to help people. And I just feel like she really also gave that spirit to me of like, I'm not gonna fucking stand in judgment of anybody. We just like all trying to like get through this life the best we can, So I just don't have anything in my heart for people that are like judgmental towards other people, and especially for their sexual orientation. Like, that's just not even none of your business. Like, that has nothing to do with you. Like, I don't understand why people take what goes on behind closed doors between two consenting adults. How is that your fucking business that you tell them that they're perverted and they're gonna burn in hell? Bitch, your wig and your makeup and shit is perverted according to the Bible. How about that? Like, what are you talking about? It's just like a whole lot of like hypocrisy and throwing stones and just not treating other people the way that they would want to be treated, which is supposed to be the cornerstone of Christianity, as far as I'm concerned. So fuck her. I never heard of her before this story, but she can go back into fucking oblivion. I don't care. And again, yeah, like, organized religion, and especially Christianity, is supposed to be about like love and acceptance and forgiveness and helping people. So I feel like that's what it's about. That's what it's supposed to be about. And if that's not what you're doing, then you are not worshiping God. You're not worshiping Jesus. You're not worshiping Allah. Like, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing as a religious person. That's just how I feel about that. If you have all that fucking animosity towards like gay people and this and that, like, you have some problems that you need to work out with God or whoever you believe in. So, segue into coming out story, because a lot of people have also asked me about my coming out story. In the same day that I was looking up this Kim Burrell situation, I also came across this post on Tumblr that was talking about some of the vitriol that gets hurled at bisexual people, and a lot of it is like very similar to the things that straight people say about homosexuals. So when people say they're bi, it bothers me. I'm reading from the Tumblr post. When people say they're bi, it bothers me. Like, you should probably pick one and stop being gross. I don't know about any of you other gays, but I could not date a bisexual. One day they're going to be like, yeah, I miss vagina, goodbye. The chance is too high for me to take a shot at it. If you're bisexual and willingly enter into a straight relationship, you are disowned from the queer community. You no longer matter. You're disgusting. If you enter into a het relationship when you have the option not to, that is a fact, which that's not a fact. That's your opinion. bisexuals don't matter. I have no sympathy for you. You get to pretend you're one of us. Like, I can't trust bisexuals. Just like mad shit getting fucking put on bisexuals. And again, like, oh, you're like perverted, like, you don't matter, you're disgusting. The same things that people like Kim Burrell say to homosexuals. You have some homosexuals out here that act that same exact way towards bisexual people. And you also have a lot of homosexuals and members of the queer community in general that hold on to just a lot of like ideas about like heteronormative gender roles and the way that people are supposed to dress and look and present themselves and the way that pairings, are supposed to go and if you're going to be two women together, one of the women has to look like this and the other one has to look like that. If you're going to be two men, one of the men has to look like this and look like that, and just like all these ideas about like what we're like supposed to do and supposed to look like and how we're supposed to act. And if you deviate from those norms within the queer community, you get basically shunned out, which again is why a lot of the times a lot of bisexual people that I know and even like just non-binary people and people that just don't fit into, these ideas that you still have even within, the queer community, just don't feel comfortable taking up space. But since a lot of you guys did want to hear my coming out story, I'll go into it. It's not even like a big thing. It's really not, And there's also this idea that to be in the queer community, similar to a lot of the things that people feel about to be in the Black community and the pro-Black community, you have to be like suffering and you have to like have all this suffering. You just have to like suffer, and if you're not suffering, then you're just like really not a part of the community. Because like my coming out story was not bad. I was just it was never something that I like grappled with. Like I always liked, when I was younger, I liked boys, I liked girls, I had crushes on boys, I had crushes on girls. And it was just never a thing to me. I never felt weird about it, uncomfortable about it. It was just like, oh, okay. It was just like something that was, And I was also very lucky that I was growing up in Washington, D.C., which had a lot of Black people, so I wasn't grappling with a lot of like all these like race issues and identity issues, And my high school was also very accepting and lenient. Like I remember I was going to school and there was this boy named Malcolm that was gay, and he used to wear like braids, extensions, and like women's clothes and use the girls' restroom, and it just wasn't a thing. It was just never a thing. I just never thought of it as a thing when I was younger, and then getting into high school. And then so I first started getting crushes on boys and girls, like in elementary school, middle school, and then I started, dating in high school. And I remember I started working at Best Buy, and I became friends with this girl, Nicole, and Nicole had a car, and Nicole was also bisexual, and she started taking me to like lesbian clubs, because I was like clubbing. I started clubbing at pretty young. I started clubbing at like 14, and I was just like clubbing, partying. I clubbed for like 10 or 11 solid like years, like 14 to like 25-ish. I was like hitting the clubs, hitting the parties, house parties, clubs, going out, doing mad shit. And I met Nicole, and Nicole started taking me to like lesbian clubs. And again, it wasn't like a thing. It was like, oh, like you're bi, like, oh, I'm bi, like, oh, you have a car, like, let's go out, like, we're about the same age, like, whatever. And I had my cousin's ID. So I was like getting into 18 and over clubs. I was tall. So I was like getting into these clubs, and I remember I had like this crush on this girl that was working at Best Buy, and I just never felt anything about it. Except like, this is just how I am. So I had boyfriends all through high school, and then I went to college, and I went to like this really open-minded liberal arts school that had like a huge, just like queer population. Excuse me, guys. Like on the first day of school, they had like drag queens. Those were like the people in the front of the school, like welcoming like the families in. It was very much like open-minded. Everything was like very open-minded. And so then in college, I kind of started getting into more serious relationships with women. I had a couple of like pretty semi-serious girlfriends. I took a girl home one year for Thanksgiving, and my parents didn't really say anything about it. You know, it was just very much like, oh, okay, whatever makes you happy. Like, my family was very much, and the people around me and my friends was just very much like, whatever makes you happy, like whatever makes you happy. And that was really just the end of it. You know, I just never had anything but like love and support from the people around me. And again, that kind of also sometimes makes me feel weird taking up queer space, because there is this idea that queer space means hardship. It means, you know, look at the representation that you get on the screen of like lesbians, and especially women of color. You know, it means somebody has to die, somebody's getting abused, you know, all this horrible shit's going on, you know. So my story is just very like straightforward and to the point. I just was what I was from a very young age, and luckily I was accepted. And again, you know, I had people in my life that were open-minded, that were supportive, that loved me, that wanted me to be happy. And they just like really instilled that in me with the way even that I deal with other people. You know, I'm not judgmental. Like, I do not fucking judge people for what they want to do, how they want to act. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, whatever makes you happy, as long as it's between two consenting adults, I do not care. Whatever makes my friends happy, my family members happy, you know, as long as it's healthy. You know, I'm not going to support anybody like being on drugs or anything like that. Like, of course, yes, like crack is making you happy, but I can't support you fucking being a crackhead. But, you know, like, happy, healthy, consenting, you know, is how I was raised, and is how I live my life, and is how my friends and family are. And I know I have been incredibly lucky, because there is so much like homophobic sentiment and hate, and people in the world like Kim Burrell who are like hiding behind religion. And anytime people say that, I just always think of my grandmother, like, you full of shit. Like, you're full of fucking shit. Like, I was pretty much raised like in the fucking church, and you don't have to be that way and like hide behind like God or religion. Like, that's like, you just suck. You're just an asshole, and you're fucking homophobic, and you need to fucking really go sit down and have like a little chat with fucking Jesus about what he like the way you're treating your fucking fellow man right now, Kim, and anybody else, because it's not cool. So my Black Life video, personal video. I know you guys like these personal videos. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Food for thought as always. See you guys next time. Very personal one, this one is. Let me know what you guys think of the hair. Peace.